Hey everyone, and welcome back to Under 5 Reviews. I'm your host, Zachary Pickett, and this week I'm reviewing More Than Words, the latest release from Brian McKnight. This album, released a couple weeks ago and his 15th overall, follows his recent trend of self-written and self-produced albums, and I have to say out of the recent ones released, this one is arguably the best. The entire album is very well handled, and that's something that only comes from experience in this industry, and that definitely shows in this album. It's Brian McKnight, so you know the vocal arrangements are gonna be nice, because face to facts, the man's got a powerful, strong, beautiful voice and he knows how to use it. All this is backed up by some music which takes inspiration from multiple genres in R&B, such as old school, contemporary, and funk, just to name a few. And all these blend together to create this really nice, easy to listen to sound that has just the right level of energy to keep you interested and just enthralled with the cut until its end. Although I will say the album is a little weak starting off, Don't Stop isn't his greatest track, but as I continue to listen to the album, I'll have to describe it as a slow building storm, meaning that it's not one of those get to the point right away. It kind of eases you into its pace, building up until it blends into this really nice mix of music, words, and meaning. And also there's some definite callbacks to the styles present on his previous albums like Superhero and Back at One, and there's very little of the branching out that was present in Evolution of a Man or Just Me. And in terms of lyrical content, I would have to describe it as almost Quiet Storm-esque. The album is essentially a collection of very sensual love songs dedicated to a lover or a woman, because most of the cuts on the album explore a woman's form, which is something he has recently said he's interested in the physiology of a woman. I'm not going to get into his personal life, so I'll leave that alone. But these lyrics blend together very well with some very well-produced melodies, combining a plethora of instruments like guitars, drums, bass, piano into this very nice, easygoing, but powerful sound. And it's something that most people will truly enjoy and Brian McKnight fans will just love. But as I said before, this is a callback to form, but this is also where I think the album has its biggest weakness, because it doesn't really have that defining track, and the album almost seems forgettable at times, and I will admit I'm guilty of this, because after I finished listening to the album for review, I had to go back and listen to it again because I had almost forgotten what I had just listened to, because there's no really strong defining track like Back at One that sets this apart from his other work, and I think that's gonna be a major killjoy for most people. But regardless of that fact, this album gets a 3.5 out of 5 for me. It's a far step above his previous two works, but I personally don't think it's quite at the level it needs to be right now. But as we've seen before, Brian can only improve from there, and this album definitely gets my worth the listen recommendation. So down below in the description will be a link to where you can purchase the album digitally, but as always, thank you all for watching, and next week we find out what it means to be loved with Michael Bublé.